I've called, and today we're going to be talking about the red flag law that has been passed in the Senate. It has to go to the House now, and also I'll be discussing uh, some other things as well. But first, before we discuss the red flag law that was passed and um, these wonderful bills that the Democrats have, it's a shame that our state is our Commonwealth is coming to this point. It really makes me not. Uh, Sometimes it makes you not want to live here. Like you want to move somewhere else where it's better. And but at the same time, I understand the need to fight back because whether it be through the ballot box or through peaceful civil disobedience, like Martin Luther King Jr. did back in the civil rights movement, or through the courts, that kind of thing. Uh, we really have to fight. There's a lot of people, that would say, oh, it's not even worth fighting. It's like, oh, the rally was not really a uh, it wasn't really worth doing. Right? No, the rally was definitely worth doing because it still sends the message, and we cannot control what the Dems do because they have the power in the House, and therefore they are in power. Whether or not they want to completely ignore the voice of the people, it's their call. They just have to know that they will have to face the consequences for their actions when it comes to the elections. And some of them, of course, will win re-election because they've been in for a while, or they're in very strong Democratic locations, and then others will be unseated because they are in an area that is half and half. And of course, those Democrats that really uh, understand the importance of the Second Amendment I believe, would really vote against those people. But we don't know. It just depends on what's happening. The problem with the Democrat Party has been taken over by the extreme socialists, the socialists that are there to completely destroy the very fabric of our Constitution and to bring in their ideals. And one of those ideals is certainly gun confiscation. And they let you know that is certainly their idea, what they're wanting. They want to make you a felon by owning certain firearms, by owning certain magazines, by owning certain things. They want to take away your First Amendment rights. They introduced a bill, I think it's HB 1647, I think, where it will make it a misdemeanor if you were to speak your mind against the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, or the delegate or Supreme Court or whatever. So they want to legislate how you think on the internet. They want to tell you that you do not have the right to free speech to express yourself. So that's a complete violation of the freedom of expression. Where people say, hey, this is not right. So they voice their opinions against what is going on. So they don't like that too well. So what they do, they want to present legislation that takes away your First Amendment rights. Remember, if they could take away your Second Amendment right, they could definitely take away your First Amendment right. And with the red flag law, what that does, it also takes away the Fourth Amendment because that is the right for due process. So now they want us to tell you that you do not have the right to due process, that you don't have the right to freedom of speech, or freedom of expression, or freedom of religion. They want to tell you that you don't have the right to the Second Amendment, and then no of the other amendments that are there, they don't want you to have either because they want complete and utter control over your life. These are the Democrat socialists that are in power right now in Virginia. And you, as an individual, you have to be able to stand up against that. Virginia, most of most of Virginia elected to become a Second Amendment or constitutional amendment sanctuary county, town, city. If these counties and cities and towns are smart, they would not fold at the threats of the governor. They introduced another bill, by the way, that would not give funding. They would not give funding to the localities that are sanctuary and continue to want to be Second Amendment sanctuary counties. Now, we know that they can't do that. That is, and if they did do that, then I would highly suggest that the counties are being threatened by the governor and by the Democrats in Richmond. I would highly recommend that they withhold their funds and make the threat to that. Hey, we are not going to send funding, tax dollars to you until you stop your illegal actions, because that's basically what they are doing. They're threatening funding to the counties, towns, and cities that they would not give them funding. Well, you know what? If you're a county, town, or city, and you're on the board of supervisors, the town council, city council, whatever, then don't send money to them. Don't send it at all. You'll have the backing of the people for sure if you were to stand strong on that. And then the sheriffs and the county district attorneys, don't prosecute with these red flag laws. Don't prosecute these universal background checks or these one gun a month deals or whatever they want to try to issue. Just stand with the people. Stand with the people, and the people will have your back. If you have to call up a county muster of militia people, I'm quite sure there'll be enough people that will stand behind you, board of supervisors or sheriffs, and that they will stand behind you, and they would really take care of their own, and they'd be able to keep the radical Governor Northam and Attorney General Herring and all these people, trying to keep them from exercising an illegal action against the people. There comes a time in our history is filled with this kind of act. There comes a time where we have to have a peaceful demonstration of civil disobedience, much like what happened with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his fight for the civil rights of the people. And that civil rights was just not for the Black American, but it was also for all Americans. And the same thing is here. We are fighting for the inalienable rights of man. When you have a group of people who hate America, who are doing everything in their power to destroy your liberties as people, it becomes a moral obligation to refuse that law, to not obey that law, because that law is illegal, and you are protected by U.S. code for that as well. And so, even though they try to prosecute you, you still have the U.S. code, which says you cannot be prosecuted. So, the Democrats today killed a bill that would make it harder on criminals to use firearms and crime, and they killed that bill. But yet they want to pass a red flag law. They want to pass the bills that want to make you a felon for owning certain things in a firearm, for selling your firearm to another individual. They want to make you a felon. They want to make you a criminal. These are how dumb these people are. So they criminalize the law-abiding citizen and then decriminalize the criminal who actually committed crimes. Now, think about that for a moment and let that register in your mind. This is exactly what the Saul Alinsky handbook says, the Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. Now, this is what they are doing. They're following this book, this rule to the T, and they are wanting you to abide by their own philosophies, and that just can't. We just can't allow that to happen. So here's the thing: the Democrats hold the power, and I've been saying this to a lot of people. You know, yeah, calling your senators and calling your delegates, it's very important. You need to do that. You need to practice being engaged in your government, even if it does not work. You have to be able to practice petitioning the government peacefully, like what happened with the Second Amendment sanctuaries. What happened with the rally, the Second Amendment rally in Richmond. Those were all peaceful demonstrations of petitioning the government of grievances that you have against them and what they are doing. These are all peaceful means that everybody practices. Even if that does not work, you still petition that way. Why? Because eventually it will show that you are going through the steps to ensure that you are, like, this is what the founding fathers did with the British, right? They send letters of petition, the grievances. Hey, this is what we don't like it. We are petitioning you to think twice about this. And then the king kept saying, forget you, we're not going to listen to you. And we're going to do our own thing. We're going to continue to tax you. We're going to continue to try to strip your rights to own firearms away from you. This is what they kept on doing. But yet, leading up to Revolutionary War, they continued to petition the governor and the king to to find peaceful solutions that will bring down that kind of, to bring down any kind of escalation that has been taking place. So it's the same thing that we are doing now. We are petitioning the government for a peaceful resolution and everything. Unfortunately, the Democrats are really escalating. They continue to escalate things. They continue to make threats against the people with the use of military. They continue to call all Second Amendment people white nationalists. They continue, even though that is completely bogus. If you look at what happened in Richmond with blacks, gays, whatever, Asians, they're all down there protecting their Second Amendment rights. Democrats, Republicans, they're all there fighting for the same cause, and you can see lots of video of that. We have the Black Guns Matter. You have the National African American Guns Association. You have so many of these diverse organizations that are for the Second Amendment and fighting for the Second Amendment, and yet they want to continue to try to call you a white nationalist. And we know that is certainly not the case, because we know that gun control is most definitely a racist, has a racist past for sure. And I believe the first gun control happened in Virginia against the blacks. So there's a history there. And Governor Northam being blackface, who dressed in blackface, or maybe he dressed in the KKK outfit that was right beside the person that was blackface. And so did Attorney General Herring. And these people want to tell you that you are not right to keeping and own firearms. So they're being very dictatorial. Now, Attorney General, or not Attorney, but Governor Northam tries to take credit. Oh, I take credit for having all this police presence and de-escalating the situation. No, Governor, you did not de-escalate anything. What was there to de-escalate? Everybody was there peaceful. But yet, what you did was that you put up walls again between the people and the Capitol. You illegally disarmed people with your state of emergency that was not, which was not needed. And yet you try to say that you de-escalate when all you did was try to escalate the situation and you were hoping, along with the mainstream media and other media types and these gun grabbing extremists, all you extremists out there were hoping that there would be violence in the streets so that you can control the narrative. Say, see, this is what we tell you. We have to take away the rights of the people, the inalienable rights of the people to keep and bear arms. But no, that didn't happen now, did it? But yeah, that's what you're hoping for. And it didn't happen. And now, the very next day, what you guys did, instead of listening to the people and their grievances, the very next day, you shoot down any good law that would allow people to protect themselves. And then you pass the red flag law that would take away any due process, that would illegally confiscate property. Because somebody who has a grind to pick against somebody else, that person who think, oh, I'm my girlfriend or my boyfriend, I don't like what he did, so I'm going to call the police and say that he has guns, so that the police will go there and knock down that person's door in the middle of the night, just because you don't like that person. Just because they have a different political view from you. You want to knock down that person's door illegally because someone reported that you were crazy or that you are thinking about hurting somebody or somebody else, which is completely false. And then they take the guns away for 6 months, and then they can renew it every 6 months, and you will never get your property back. And this is the red flag law, and it strips the right of due process, and it strips the right that a person would have to have, the government would have to have a search warrant, a proper search warrant to confiscate property with a probable cause, and there's no probable cause. And now imagine if HB 961 passes, that would make you a felon, by the way, if you own an AR-15 or you own a magazine that's 10 rounds or more or whatever, or you have another kind of centerfire type rifle. They will grandfather you in, but you have to register your weapons. Now, this is complete bogus crap, because they want to make you a felon. And so if you have this bill and you have the red flag law, what is to stop the government, the governor, or whoever it is that's in charge at the moment, who is to stop them from saying, you know what, I want you to confiscate all guns from all Second Amendment people, because they have a mental illness and they are crazy. Now think about that. And here you want to have a true point of this. Senator Marston, who said that he said Second Amendment people are like kids and they have a mental illness. So you don't think that these Democrats would not make that claim against the Second Amendment people? Yeah, of course they would, because they're crazy. They are evil people, and it's a shame that we have a government that is this way now. Now, what happened with the people? Because how these people got into power was because people didn't go out and vote. There was not enough opposition to these people running for office. So now a lot of these new people, they ran for office, and they didn't run on the ideas of gun control and that kind of thing. But when they got into office, boy, you're talking about changing their tune quite a bit and making sure that gun control and confiscation to make you a felon, these red flag laws would really get passed. So we petition peacefully to the government and petition our grievances against the government. So we have to continue to do that. We have to fight through the court systems and stuff like that if these bills were to be passed and signed into law by the governor. But what happens in between that time and the court rulings, they can still operate their laws. And many people, unfortunate people, will be affected by these illegal, unconstitutional laws. So how are people going to be protecting themselves protected from these laws? So the people are really depending on the sheriffs, the city police chiefs, the board of supervisors, the town councils, the city councils, the district attorneys to not prosecute, to not allow these gun laws to be implemented within their county. These people are counting on our governments to protect them, the local government. See, all politics is local. All politics is local. So if a state is attempting to create havoc on the people, then the local government has to step in and protect the people. And if people say, oh, Virginia's a Dillon state, forget the Dillon crap. You have a moral obligation to protect the people in your locality, a moral obligation to protect them. And if it requires you as a county and the sheriff to call up the county militia that's the unorganized militia, by the way. If it requires you to call up a muster of men and women that would stand with you, and making sure that these laws are not implemented, then that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do to protect the people. And people will really join. I really believe that there has to be an implementation and a fallback on these things, because to allow a government to usurp your rights as man, it's not right. And these laws will not only affect people of color, but it will also affect people who are white, black, age, whatever. It's going to affect everybody. So if you really value your rights as a human being, if you really value your livelihood, then you would certainly fight against these things. And if it requires a peaceful demonstration of civil disobedience, then by all means, it needs to be done in order to protect our rights. I'm not afraid to say that we need a peaceful demonstration of civil disobedience, because that is what it's going to take. It may need to be done now in order to make the point to these people. Yeah, we demonstrated. We went to Richmond, and they went to Richmond. I was not able to go, but they went to Richmond and they demonstrated their inalienable rights, and they were vilified for it by the media. They're peaceful. There were people of all colors and creeds. They were all there, but yet the government of Virginia, the Democrats and the legislature says, nah, we don't care what you say or think or do. We don't care. We believe that we have a mandate because certain people helped us to get into office. So we have to take care of Bloomberg and Soros in order to create in order to pay him back for how he helped us with the millions of dollars that he gave to the Democrat Party and to us. So this is the fight. It's the fight against Bloomberg, a fight against Soros, a fight against the United Nations, a fight against these radical socialists that have power now. And I truly believe that starting in November, we're going to start seeing a reverse back to the Republican Party. I really believe that you'll see Mark Warner be voted out. I really believe that Trump will win Virginia again. So, and I think in 2021, people are not going to forget, and they're going to make sure that they win, that they're going to change the legislature back to Republican. And then perhaps from that, the legislature could be reversed and voted out as well. So we'll see what happens, but Lord willing, everything will take place. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for being on here. I will